show you. Thank you. Any question?
You showed us two films, both which center on dance. Perhaps you could talk a bit about what you find cinematic about making documentaries about the dance form.
Yes. Well, I think dance is very, easy to see. It's very easy to catch with the camera. I think it's a very easy wedding with the two. Because another thing I maybe didn't talk in these films is the importance of the sound. Like the Buto dance film I spent much more time in the soundtrack than in anything visual. There are so many layers and so many arrangements, and we work with often with two musicians. One who is composing, the other one who is more on the electronic side, and the sounds are processed back and forth. And the way I work is always to make a ping pong, so to make a first draft and then to give that to a composer, then to have the music back, and then to recut, and then to resend and fine-tune the music and so on. So I think the experience of this is valid also a lot through the soundtrack, and I think this is true of dance, because there is very few dance show that I see that work without music. Most of the dance, if you turn off the volume and you just look at the dance, very often there is not much. So when you discover somebody who has a true language of movement, of body movement, and do something significant with dance, it's quite rare, I think.
As you said, you emphasized on sound in this and I just came.
Instrument, and he does a lot of electronic music for ballet, for the companies. So he loves to use sound, so I'm not sure where he got this one, but he mixes it with different sounds of water.
Especially those steps was going on, the guy was dancing over there.
Yes.
And in background sound was coming off the tube.
Yeah, it's a mixture of boats and water, and everything is treated and made into music. Electronic music, obviously. Sequential music, you can say it's music, but not everybody likes it. Right? But it's, that's what I meant maybe before by you capturing elements. So these elements are visual, these elements are sound, and you put this in the box of your cutting room, and then you try to make some sense of it. And the first person to judge is you own about how do you feel? Do you like these sounds? And this sound is something like this. Do you like them or not? What do they do to you? You cannot explain why you like them.
I was thinking some philosophical reason behind this dance and that sound was
Philosophical?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing philosophical in this case. I think it's more, because when you go to I think abstract territories, you try to forget to think a little bit. So you don't want to give meanings to things all the time. And in fact, I must say that if you are achieved to do something that is not meaningless, but that where the meaning is hidden, then it's successful, or at least it goes further than if you are stuck with having always to say what things mean. I mean, the point was made with the, Japanese dance. You watch something abstract and you don't have to think what it means or what is the philosophy or anything, you just have the experience. And if the experience is successful, you shouldn't need any meaning. And maybe it's different than conceptual art, You need a meaning to make sense of something. Because without the meaning, the stuff makes no sense. Because it has another life in its own. It only exists. It's how you look at it.
While you consider the idea of documentary, do you make it a point to make it a narrative or non-narrative beforehand, or do you after after the footage you decide to make it in that way?
No, I mean I think I did a lot of other small work where I tried this idea. I tried a while to make a fiction, making believe it's a documentary, for instance, and then. and I've seen a lot of examples, and I realize it doesn't really work. I think you either make a fiction or you either make a documentary. But I think if you make a fiction, then it is a fiction, and you may make it look like a documentary, anything you can, but it is a fiction. And on the opposite way, if you start with a documentary, maybe you construct, you do the mise en scène, you take actors, everything, but it stays what it is at first.
As a filmmaker, do you think non-narrative structure works for
What if non-narrative structure works for?
works for documentary? In terms of,
Non-narrative.
yeah.
You mean documentary?
Yeah.
If it works, if documentary works for
Yeah, as a
documentary.
filmmaker, what's your personal theory?
I think I use tricks of dramatization,
Yeah.
and they are, there's a tendency in documentary in Europe to become more dramatized, because more and more you have script doctors in documentary now, and the chief editors of the channel, they really want now the story to be told, so they want this on paper, which was not the case before. So, because the TV, in Europe, it's the TV who pays for both documentaries and fiction. You have to do things to satisfy them to make a documentary, so you have to use a lot of the tools of dramatization that you use in fiction. But for me, it's not a big deal because I always did that because I come from the fiction, so I always use these tools to dramatize the documentary. Question? Yes.
Nowadays, one of these documentaries, they're in very subtle ways, so they fail to work with the normal audience. So how can you really discover your style with respect to originality, and then make the audience appreciate the film and really gain recognition for what you have done? How do you do that?
How do I do that in general or in Europe?
How do you do it? I mean, if you have an idea and you want to project it to the audience, so with the due recognition you really deserve for whatever you have done. I mean, change their thinking skills, yeah, I mean, their perspective. Because nowadays, films like this really don't work. This is good cinema. People just like some dance and some action and some dialogues, and then things like this don't work. This is creative. So how can you make them like this? How can you add in some entertainment to this and really, merge these two types of cinema? That's what I'm
Yeah, why would you put entertainment in it?
No, just for them to like it. I mean, for them to appreciate your perspective, your output.
Well, I'm not first, I'm not sure I will still do this, but it was also a time when in Europe you had a lot of slots in different channels in different countries where they had films like this, like dance film of dance was a genre. You had festivals with dance film, and you still have them, but you had in every channel, they had a department, and I use this for even fiction, experimental fiction, where you can really experiment. They give you a lot of freedom. Then you make proposals. I mean, this film is different. This film I had to start with no money because it was too empty to start to have a chance to finance. But so that's the first thing. Now it's more difficult to do that in Europe. I think in India it's almost impossible with the televisions. That you have to do on your own.
Main focus was on India, but
Yeah.
generally, I mean, you have an idea. You have an idea. How do you capitalize on your existing? I mean, how do you really bank on it with originality, discovering your style? How do you do that?
Well, you do it. You just do it.
You just do it, and you just have a random idea.
So these influences are very important to direct you about what you want to try. But certainly you have to try, and if you're not sure, you can try on small things to not make the mistakes for a long time.
Maybe you could interact with somebody, but then the thing is that your mind, you get mentally blocked and you just think through their perspective. So how do you really evade this?
I don't understand.
You intern with somebody, okay? You learn, you assist them, and then their perspective, that's what gets into your brain. So how can you evade it and still think originally?
No, well, it's like you have to ingest and you have to digest, So it's not a good idea to replicate what you see, but the idea is to have different influences, to shake it, you know, and to do something, and then you know it comes up the next morning with an original idea. Huh?
Do you mean to say you really process it and then do it your
Yes.
own way?
Yes.
Yeah. And then interpret it.
Because you know, I mean, you know, it's like we were discussing sometimes about the trend in Bollywood film to just copy formula,
Yes,
stories,
exactly.
and everything. And I think there is, of course, it's bad and it's stupid and everything. But it's also a shame that you don't have enough scope for, you know, allowing people with their own creativity. That you have a system that is forcing a lot of people to do recipes, to replicate, to duplicate, you know. But to do it yourself, I mean, you are the first one to do it. It's really up to you, nobody else. What is difficult is to collect. But today, you know, the technology is so good. You can really do films, even a small thing with almost nothing. So it's really not stopping you from discovering your style and originality and everything. And but it's really it's a decision that you don't want to copy, and that you have to create your own mixture of things, you know.
There's no growth in that.
Huh?
There's no growth. It's just projecting the same thing.
No, there's no role, because when I was in film school in England, you know, you are so good, I'm going to do something with you, it's do it like this, but not like that, and like this, and I was so looking for, you know, somebody to guide me and to save me time and everything, but you know, I didn't find that. I did find that I had to invent, you know, to make a lot of things that didn't work, a lot of try, a lot of errors, and overall you just have to do it, you know, you just have to do it and to look at it, you know, and then to do it again, and then to throw it away and to start again, you know, and it's better, because there's nothing worse than not doing and thinking and thinking and thinking, because you never know what you do or what you cannot do, you know, but at least when you start putting stuff, you know, then it's so easy to not like it, but it's easier also to improve it, you know.
You talked about handling time, and it's so brilliant with the question he asked, like how you talked about handling time, and is his idea of if you experiment more, you don't have a space to, you know, get appreciated. So when he said that, you know, that when you're experimenting, you experiment the way you want to experiment. But when you want to commercialize it, you do a lot of experiments and take the best of those experiments. Okay, and then when the time becomes shorter, it becomes commercial. For example, if that film was 30 seconds long, you would have loved
When
it.
you use frantic and need to always have their distractions and anything else, you know. But how you build your inside culture also. It is what I mean by what you eat.
Apparently, I was in the same dilemma as you were in, because even I needed someone to like really guide me, because I'm new, so that's why I just I'm really confused. Thanks for clearing it out.
The format of your first film is not a documentary, it's like a short film.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a short film, it's not a documentary. The
No.
other two are documentary. I have a suggestion: if you can make 4 stories on the similar line, you can create a feature film, a proper film.
Yes.
And on the same subject with the similar, you know, background or backdrop. So you can create a feature film. So 5, 6 different stories, because it's a brilliant story. It's a masterpiece kind of a thing. I see lots of festivals and films where this was really beautiful. Actors performed very well, well conceived, nicely done, and the story, the basic line was very interesting. So if you can have 5, 6 story on the similar backdrop, you can have a complete film. You can release a film.
Yes, but there was no intention at the time when it's for me an old film. And for instance, I'm doing now a film in Hindi with some different stories like
With the
this.
subtitles in English, or you can make a film in English, with the similar, because the construction of the film was not a documentary, it was a proper, you have shot, you
No,
have
I
a story arc, it's
yes,
a short.
No, it is a short film. Yeah, it is fiction, but I wanted to show this as a start, to show, you know, from fiction, then you go somewhere else, and to say the influence
It
also of the
has
fiction.
perfect ingredients, everything is just perfect. The first film is just brilliant. can have 4 or 5 stories and you can release all over the world like proper.
Yeah, but you know, you don't need to make always feature films, huh?
It's not necessary, but you know, more people can see the problem. What he was saying, that people don't watch these kind of products. So if it is the duration, you know, extend to a 1 hour or more than 1 hour. So
Yes.
you would like to come to the theater and see stories, different stories on the subject.
Well, that will be the next film then.
Yes.
Yeah, my another question was like during the whole process of making this all documentary movies, like how honest you were while making these documentaries, like, because it's more of like fiction most of the time. We have to narrate these characters. I mean, these people like you have to. I would be asking this question or something like that. You have to answer this question. So I mean, how much more it was more real, and I mean, how much more honest you were, and what was your experience there? Because when I was making a documentary film of mine, so I had faced all these problems. Like I need to tell them really like what they have to speak and what I wanted in this movie. So just tell me about a little bit experience.
Well, I mean, in Europe it's forbidden to pay people to talk.
Not paid, like still like.
No, I joke, but you need, I mean, a lot of documentary, you don't do interviews, you know, sometimes I do interviews not for the film, but just for the background, knowing the background of people. But that's the quality of the, you know, journalist can answer that well, you know, you for sure. You can prepare an interview, you can say, okay, we're going to cover that subject, and you prepare it, you can discuss with the person. That depends on, you know, if it's more like you want to dig secrets, you don't say what you're going to say, you say maybe a little introduction. If you want people to think a little bit, then you tell them in advance the questions so they have time to have a proper answer. It all depends on what you do in fact.
And sometimes it happens like before you're on the camera and when you speak to those people, the things which comes out at which you wanted to capture that in camera. So how do you like? It happened with me a lot of time. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not a good idea to talk with people before you film. It's not a good idea to do the you know, the whole talking outside and say, okay, now let's go shoot, because they've said everything. So you have always to say stop. You know, you have to say you really have to be careful with that. Yes. Because they say great things, and you go in front of the camera and they forget everything's done. It's not good.
Kamal, this is the first time I've watched your films, and I must say it's an interesting discovery. So I'd like to know, I'm sure a lot of people present here have just been introduced to you and your films. So I'd like to know your cinematic influences.
What?
I would like to know about your cinematic influences, the filmmakers who have inspired you, or the films.
Yes, other films. Well, I was very, I think, inspired of the film of the 60s, 70s. I think I did like, on one side I did like a lot the Italian comedy. You know, like the good days of the Italian comedy. I think I did like American, I mean, a lot of Anglo-Saxon, a lot of English movies, and I did like, I think I did like Clockwork Orange, I did like Apocalypse Now, you know. This type of film made an impression on me, an experience, you know. And I wasn't, you know, so much in France, because I was studying in England, so I was always had connection with France, but like, you know, the new wave didn't have a huge impact on us in Europe. It has an impact in France mainly, and a little bit in French part of Switzerland too. But what the new wave was doing was also, you know, it had created the notion of auteur.
Yeah.
In the same time, he had destroyed a little bit the continuity of script writing. So they had, after, you know, maybe 10 years of interesting films, they had a big nothingness in France, and it took them a long time to recover from the skills of writing that they had, which is something that never happened in the States. You know, they never lost this script writing skills, and script writing is really so much the basis of good films. Even the Italian comedies, you know, there were like 3, 4 very good writers, you know, the screenplay, even the Fellini films, they were so well scripted. You know, so it's not like it's just people having fun here and there. You know, it's really you know, even the film like David Lynch, first film. When I worked with one of his script doctors, and he was saying how they arrange, you know, because he had his first film. What was his title? Eraserhead, yes. And he came with his first film like this with all his cards, and they couldn't make up something, so you know they structure it, and this guy who helped them structure it was like an old-fashioned script doctors, very good, you know, just help structure these abstractions so that to make sense out of it, you know. So the strength of you know, structure and writing is very important, I think.
So you personally associate with like Billy Wilder kind of school, like perfect screenplay before shooting. Like if you want to make a feature film, you associate that kind of cinema or more of improvisation, that new way you believed in?
Well, that depends because I'm on two films now. And one is I'm shooting here in Mumbai, which is what you say, which is totally with a lot of improvisation. I work with a treatment. I have all the situations, and then I get the actors, we do the rehearsals, and because it's in Hindi and I don't speak Hindi...
It's a documentary or it's a fiction?
Fiction.
Fiction.
And because it's in Hindi and I don't speak Hindi, they improvise the line in Hindi, they explain me what they say, we reduce the text, you know, and then I direct them like this because I can sense all the motivation, you know, the emotions and everything, I can tune that with them. And then, you know, we do the dialogues that way, and then we go on location and we shoot, and when we shoot there is no, for me, idea of where is the camera. It's just, you know, like they take the space and they move, and then when it's a little fixed, then I shoot in a way that I capture what they do, and I never ask them to stop on marks or to do anything like this, because I want them to be really free to behave, you know. And in that way I try to go close to a feeling of documentary and to recreate the condition of documentary, but that's also, you know, you have to make sacrifice, you know, you have bad focus, you make a story with no props, you do a lot of things, you try to avoid continuity, you have to do a lot of things so that you don't have problems with this modus, this way of working.
Any particular director style you personally associate with?
This?
Any particular director style that you...
No, I think it's a tendency, I think it's something that you do. I mean, well, one guy was interesting, you know, but I wouldn't say I do the same thing because he's very extreme on that. It's Mike Lee, the English director, because he works with a troupe of actors.
Yeah.
So they get together and for weeks and weeks they rehearse, they don't know what, and then they create characters slowly. And then out of this creation of character, he starts to draw a story.
That used to do during his play days. Mike Lee used to do that a lot when he used to direct plays.
Did you get it?
Mike used to do this thing a lot when he used to direct plays.
Yes.
That's where the practice came along.
Yes.
When he started.
But the script comes later in this case.
Yeah,
it's only when the characters take shape that he starts to make a screenplay, and he never tells them the story. So when they shoot, they learn one day that, oh, we're going to shoot, so they play their character in the situations. And then eventually, I think he won an Oscar for best screenplay for a film where there was no screenplay. You know, so they had to write the screenplay in the end from the film to send it to the Oscars for being eligible.
Secrets and Lies you're talking about. Secrets and Lies you're talking about.
Yes, was it that or Vera? You know, the woman who was giving birth to be to, I think this one. I think. And in this film, there was a scene where the actors, the family is together, and suddenly the police comes to arrest this woman because this woman is giving birth to other children. And it's forbidden in England back in 1940 something. And when they shoot the film, they are everybody is in the kitchen, or the actors, and no one knows the police comes. So they shoot the scene, and during the scene, the police comes and arrest, and they all have to react, you know, like on the spot.
Yeah. Such a perfect way to do a film. It's so close to reality that we ourselves develop characters, and then we don't know what's going to actually happen. The story is not told to us in life, and then we behave. So perfect way to do it. So natural, as close as it gets.
Yeah, it's a funny system to set up this.
As opposed to, you know, having a script written. It's so against the natural flow of our lives.
It is, but on the other, of course, it's true. But on the other hand, it's true that when you do acting, you know, you can also find life inside your performance. You know, you always have borders, whether these borders are the screenplay, the story, or just your body, or everywhere there is borders. So how you find freedom inside the little space that is allowed for you is what it's about, maybe.